So we thought it was important in this legislative session to recognize what so many of our principals and teachers did. So I called for $1,000 bonuses for all principals and all public school teachers throughout the state of Florida. And with the help of some of my friends here in the legislature, they approved it in the budget, and I signed the budget in June, and we were able to deliver on that. So it was a total of $215 million to make the bonus payments possible. And we think it was something that was well-deserved. I also called for the same bonuses for all our first responders in Florida. And so all sworn law enforcement, fire, rescue, and EMTs, we also got similar bonuses approved from there. I was actually down in Surfside yesterday meeting with the Task Force 1 and 2. We were able to hand out checks to them. We proposed this and signed this before the Surfside tragedy happened, but we did it because we understand when things happen, the folks that wear these uniforms are the ones that we depend upon to come and help protect us, and nowhere was that more apparent than in the response to Surfside. And I can tell you, I was there the day it happened, later that day and every day for probably a couple weeks. And those, particularly the Miami-Dade folks and the city of Miami folks, they were on that pile. They were, it was very emotional. It was something that they were invested in, and they did save a lot of people, obviously, in those early hours, and they worked tirelessly to find anyone they could. And I know that a lot of the families appreciate all the great effort. And so we were able to do that. Also, our police officers who haven't always been treated well by our society in the last many years, but I think in Florida we believe integral to have safe communities. You can have good education, jobs, but if the community's not safe, all that stuff can go by the wayside. So we were able to do that in Jacksonville and in Pensacola, so we're happy to do that. This bonuses for the educators, it's about 175,000 full-time teachers and then 3,600 principals, both in the school districts and in some of our other public schools. So we think we'll obviously hand out some today. A lot of these checks should be hitting now. I think some people have already received them, and I think people will receive them this week and into next week. And this builds off some of the work we've been able to do in 2020. We had an initiative to improve teacher pay. We did $500 million to increase salaries for new and veteran teachers. In the most recent budget, we were able to continue that and add another $50 million on top of it. One of the things we targeted was trying to have a higher average minimum salary throughout the state of Florida. We went from $40,000 to now $46,000. As you look going forward, recruiting people to come in. People have a lot of options nowadays, particularly people that do well for themselves academically. We understand it's not like something you're going to necessarily get rich off of, just like with law enforcement, but it does help to be able to provide some better incentives. So we're able to do that, and we think that that's something that is really important. We're going to continue supporting that. We also know in Pinellas County, under Mike's leadership, you got a lot of great people. I went to school in Pinellas County, so I know firsthand, and proud of that. Earlier this year, I announced that Sarah Ann Painter in Pinellas County was Florida's Teacher of the Year for 2022, and so that's really good. And I have with me today teachers Brittany Duquesne, who's a kindergartner teacher, and last year her entire class consisted of students who were not considered kindergarten ready. And by dedicating countless hours to her students and working with them all individually, she was able to make remarkable progress. And by the end of the year, 99% of her students were at or above grade level. So that's. Lynn Price is also here, fifth grade math teacher. When you're in a COVID situation and you have quarantine and remote, it makes it very challenging. But she was able to include all the remote students, a student who happened to be quarantining simultaneously in her classroom to make sure they didn't fall behind. She teaches her students to take ownership of their education and shares with her classroom the data she tracks for each student's performance so they can see where they are and where they need to be. So we thank her for her hard work. And it's teachers like Brittany and Lynn, along with leaders like Mike Grego and, of course, our new principal and our former principal, who really help contribute to better outcomes for our children. And to that end, while schools across the country, many of them weren't even open for in-person education last year, Lakewood Elementary went from an F grade in 2019, the last year we issued school grades, to earning an A in 2021. In fact, the school hadn't scored better than a D since 2013. And so this type of turnaround is very rare, but it's a testament to the hard work of everybody involved, the teachers, the administrators, the parents, and students at Lakewood Elementary. And so we oftentimes hear, sometimes it's like, people think that, it's hard, you can't improve outcomes or all this other stuff. Well, Lakewood Elementary is a success story. It's an example of a tremendous turnaround. And you know what? That turnaround, what that's going to mean for these kids throughout their life, it's going to take us years and even decades probably to measure it. But if you look at all how people perform in elementary school, when they fall behind by, say, third grade, the chance of them having an academic resurgence and becoming very proficient, it just declines considerably. So what you've done is you've taken F performance, made it an A performance, and you've given all these students a foundation that they're then going to be able to build upon as they continue with their schooling. And I have no doubt that the students here are going to have successful endeavors in their life as a result of this. And I think had you not done what you did to help turn it around, some of those students would likely have fallen behind and would likely have not realized their full potential. So it's important. You don't always see everything right away because this is a long journey in students' academic life and beyond. But I can tell you, I think people are going to look back, some of these kids will look back at their elementary school years after they've gone to college or done other things successful and thank some of these teachers and thank the school for getting them on a good track. So I can't thank you enough. We think that this the bonuses were just because of how challenging last year was. We thought it was important that we show a token of appreciation, and the legislature was able to come through and do it. So we're happy to be able to hand out some checks today. We're going to hear from Mike Grego, Commissioner Corcoran, and then we'll hand out some of the checks to the great teachers here and to the principal, of course, who also deserves it. So Mike Grego, do you want to come up and deliver some remarks?
Certainly, thank you, Governor, for being here. What a first day of school, right? This is my sixth school visiting. I greeted bus drivers early this morning, and I'm so anxious to be here. And I want to thank my board for being here, the 4 members who were able to make it here. What a journey this has been. And I want to say publicly to thank Commissioner Corcoran because I didn't know him all that well. And when this school was in the status, I called him up and asked him to make a visit to Lakewood. And I said to him, after your visit, we will do whatever the statute, whatever. But we were requesting an extension. And Commissioner, I want to publicly say thank you for your heartfelt visit and your observations and not deciding something different than what you did. I really appreciate that. Because I think the ending is really clear, is that we need to invest in ourselves. We need to invest in our educational system. And here we are. A year later, I could say to you, and I know this faculty well, how disappointed you were that we didn't have the FSA assessments last year. I know your heads are nodding. I know Ms. Woodford called me up and said, I will only ask one thing for you. Just make sure they don't cancel the FSA. Well, you hung on, and you did a remarkable job. And I can promise you, Governor and Commissioner, this school will remain a high-achieving school. This is not a fluke. If you take a look at our performance, it is all about the performance of these students that change their lives and the parents. And just the smiles of coming into the school knowing that they're an A school. Their hearts are filled with joy. Also want to thank you, Governor, and the state and elected officials for providing that $1,000 to our teachers and principals. What that allowed us to do as a board and as a district is that we're giving every employee in our district that $1,000. And your ability to do that provided us the ability to leverage those dollars. So, our employees are grateful. So every single employee in our district received the same bonus. I want to say thank you, Governor, for allowing us to do that. And lastly, this district, and I know you're proud of it, you went to this Dunedin High School, but this district also has a starting teacher salary of $47,500, and we hope not to stop there. We're on our way to $50,000, and we really truly want to continue to attract the very best teachers, not only to the state of Florida, but certainly to Pinellas County. So thank you, Governor, thank you, Commissioner, for your dedicated service to our district.
Thanks.
Thank you. It's great to be here. And this is actually, we were here in January, February with Superintendent when the governor announced before session with our great legislators that he wanted to do a $1,000 bonus for all first responders and teachers. And we had that announcement here in Pinellas. And as with all promises that this governor makes, he keeps them. And that's in a modern day political era, it's kind of a shocking thing to have that kind of honor and commitment. So thank you, Governor, for that. I do want to say, since it is the first day of school, and you go back to last year and where we were, and I remember like in the summer and you turn on the news and it would be like still lockdowns, shutdowns all over the country, and I remember it was like Groundhog Day. You'd wake up and every day it's like, what is happening to our country? And it just wasn't the case in Florida. And I remember when we opened up schools and we had the great support of the superintendents and the governor announced that we're going to open up schools and we're going to have face-to-face instruction and the outcry that came with it. And I remember thinking, and part of my mind is like, well, you know, let's see how it goes. And on day one, 99, 98, 97, 95% of our teachers across the state, despite what the rhetoric was, despite the noise, they came because they wanted to be with their students and they wanted to impart that great education. And the governor said it before. You look at Florida, and during that time, when schools opened, and the reason our schools opened is because our teachers came and they did a phenomenal work with our students. But when that happened, guess what could happen? Even our first responders could go back to work. We could all go back to work because our kids were in school and they were in that great environment. And so really when you look at it from the state standpoint, the economy, everything, our teachers literally, you know, COVID attacked us and our teachers fought back, and that's what changed the state of Florida. And so for that, it's so good to be able to give you and be here with the governor to give you these bonuses. But it's also, as Mike said, it's special to be here at Lakewood Elementary because what the governor had said earlier is it's the children that are at risk. It's the low-income kids that are most vulnerable to being getting left behind and never be able to be caught up. But to be here at Lakewood, that during COVID, this horrible educational year, when everything's going to, you know, heck in a handbasket, and here at Lakewood, we have a school that went from, now the dirty secret is you weren't an F. You were probably already an A from the previous year, but we didn't test you. But you went from an F 2 years ago to an A when you finally got tested. Yeah, and so, but to be, it's such a testimony to the great work that you guys do, and so look at these kids and what they're going to have because during COVID, well, yeah, literally state after state after state still closed all the way till now, and they'll probably stay closed because you know the continued outcry, but not here, and especially at Lakewood Elementary. So thank you for your great work, and thank you for to the legislature and to the governor and all of us for recognizing your heroism. So thank you.
Okay, do we, so we have the, there? Okay, so how are we going to do? People just come up and hand, all right, so Richard, why don't you read that and we'll come and.
I need glasses.
Now we'll hand them out.
Brittany Duquesne.
Okay. Congratulations. Thank you. Thank
Lynn Price.
you.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
April Ash.
Thank you so much.
Taylor Chalfont.
Thank you so much.
Princey Dorsainville.
Thank you so much.
Bridget Harden.
Thank you.
Melissa Olson. Ashley Parson. Deirdre Smith. Jake Weininger. And of course, Stephanie Woodford.
Go. Get over. You guys get in here too. Yeah. All right, we got it.